Somewhere in Maine, a 1990 Honda sat in a driveway with 1 million miles on the odometer. Original engine, original transmission. And the guy who owned it paid less for it than most people spend on a used phone. That car was not a fluke. After 2 decades with my hands inside engines, I have learned the cars that hit legendary mileage are almost never the expensive ones. They are the cheap, boring, overlooked machines nobody expected anything from. Today I am counting down 3 dirt cheap cars that accidentally became million-mile legends. Cars you can still buy for pocket change that will outlive vehicles costing 5 times as much. Number 1, rewired how I think about reliability completely. Let's get into it. Number 3, the Ford Crown Victoria. Let me start with the one most people walk right past on a used lot because it looks like something their grandfather drove to church. The Crown Victoria. And here's the thing nobody under 40 seems to know. This is one of the most overbuilt, abuse-proof cars America ever produced. And the proof isn't in a brochure. It's in the fact that taxi companies and police departments ran these things into the ground for 30 years and still couldn't kill them. I had a guy come into my shop a few years back driving a retired police Crown Vic, a P71, he'd bought at a municipal auction for $2,800. It had 240,000 miles on it. He was nervous, asking me what was about to go wrong, what the big bill was going to be. I put it on the lift, went through the whole underside, pulled codes, checked the transmission. You know what I told him? Drive it. Just drive it. That 4.6-liter V8 was barely broken in. Here's why these run forever. The 4.6-liter modular V8 in the Crown Victoria was never designed to be fast. It was designed to survive. It makes somewhere between 224 and 250 horsepower, depending on the year, which by modern standards is nothing. A V6 Camry will smoke it off the line. But that's exactly the point. The engine is so understressed for what it's capable of that it just refuses to wear out. It uses a timing chain, not a belt, so there's no expensive interval to worry about. It's a cast iron block with aluminum heads sitting in a rear-wheel drive body-on-frame chassis. That body-on-frame part matters more than people realize. When something gets bent or worn, you're not fighting a complicated unibody. Everything bolts on and bolts off. Parts are everywhere and they're cheap because Ford built millions of these and they all share components with the Mercury Grand Marquis and the Lincoln Town Car. I've personally seen these past 300,000 miles without the engine being touched. Taxi fleets routinely ran them to 500,000. There's a documented 1999 Crown Vic that crossed 372,000 miles and was still in service, and a P71 that hit over 410,000. Those aren't unicorns. That's just what these do when you change the oil. Now, the numbers. You can buy a clean civilian Crown Victoria right now for $4,000 to $8,000. A retired police unit, sometimes half that. Compare that to almost any modern sedan with similar room and a V8, and you're saving 5 figures. Repair costs are laughable. Brakes all around, a few $100. The most common real failure on the early ones is the intake manifold, and even that is cheap to fix. So here's your inspection checklist if you go shopping for one. First, and this is the big one, on the 1996 to 2001 models, Ford used a plastic intake manifold with a coolant passage at the front that is known to crack. When it goes, it dumps coolant. The fix is an updated manifold with an aluminum crossover, and at this point most surviving cars have already had it done, but you check anyway. Open the hood, look for any sweet coolant smell or crusty residue around the front of the engine. Second, if it is an ex-police car, understand it idled for thousands of hours. So judge it on condition, not just the odometer number. A well-kept high-mileage one beats a neglected low-mileage one every time. Third, get underneath and look at the frame, especially around the rear control arm mounts. These can rust in salt states, and frame rust is the one thing that actually ends a Crown Vic's life. Fourth, take it on the highway and feel the transmission shift. The 4-speed automatic is durable, but a slip or harsh shifting one tells you the fluid was never serviced. Who should buy this? Anybody who wants maximum space, V8 simplicity, and the cheapest possible path to a car that'll run past 300,000 miles. Anybody tired of plastic turbos and screens that freeze up. Who should skip it? If you need good fuel economy, this isn't it. It is a heavy, old-school V8 sedan, and it drinks accordingly. If you want sharp handling or modern tech, look elsewhere entirely. But if you just want a couch on wheels that won't die, there is nothing cheaper that lasts longer. And if you think a retired cop car going 500,000 miles is impressive, the next one on this list did it with a 4-cylinder and got a parade for it. Number 2, the Honda Accord. This is the everyman legend, the car that quietly proved you don't need 8 cylinders or a luxury badge to hit numbers that sound made up. And the story behind this one is so well documented that Honda themselves threw a party for it. There was a master mechanic in Maine named Joe Lo Cicero. People started calling him Million Mile Joe. He bought a used 1990 Honda Accord in 1996 with 74,000 miles already on it. He needed something tough enough to handle bad New England roads because he drove constantly for work, inspecting vehicles across Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. He was putting close to 4,700 miles on that car every single month. And in 2011, that Accord rolled over 1 million miles. Original engine, original transmission. Honda was so floored they gave him a brand new Accord and threw an actual parade with floats and a marching band. What kept it alive wasn't magic. Joe was relentless about maintenance. Oil every 5,000 miles, same brand every time. Timing belts replaced exactly on schedule, every fill-up logged in notebooks. That's the lesson buried in this story. The car gave him 1 million miles because the engine was capable of it, but he met it halfway. And he's not even the only one. There's a 1991 Accord out there with over 1.16 million miles, passed from a father to his son. There's a guy named Justin Kilmer who took a 2003 Accord he bought brand new, well past 1 million, working as a medical courier in Texas. This isn't one lucky car, it's a pattern. Here's the engineering. That 1990 Accord ran a 2.2-liter 4-cylinder, the F22, a simple single overhead cam motor with fuel injection, and not much else to go wrong. No turbo, no direct injection carbon problems, no complicated electronics layered on top. Honda overbuilt the bottom end of these engines, and the whole car followed the same philosophy. Keep it simple, make every part a little stronger than it needs to be, and it'll just keep running. The same thinking carried through Accord generations for years. The numbers today are almost insulting. A clean 4th-generation Accord from that era runs $3,000 to $6,000. Even nice later-generation 4-cylinder Accords are some of the best value on the entire used market. Repair costs are among the lowest of any car on the road because the parts are everywhere and the design is honest. Your inspection checklist for an older Accord. First, the timing belt. This is critical. These 4 cylinders are interference engines, which means if the belt snaps, the The valves and pistons collide, and you've destroyed the motor. You need to see records proving the belt was changed on schedule, or you replace it immediately, and it's worth every penny. Second, on the 90s cars, check the distributor. Honda distributors from this era are known to leak oil internally and fail, causing stalling. Not expensive, but you want to know. Third, on a hot day, shut the engine off, wait 10 minutes, and try to restart it. If it cranks but struggles to fire, that's the main relay, a classic Honda hot start gremlin and a cheap fix. Fourth, look hard at rust. These bodies are mechanically immortal, but the sheet metal from the 90s can rot. So check the wheel wells, rockers, and floor. Who should buy this? Anybody who wants the lowest cost per mile transportation that exists, period. First cars for teenagers, commuter beaters, anybody who just wants something that starts every single morning for the next decade. Who should skip it? If you want power or excitement, a base 4-cylinder Accord isn't going to thrill you. And if rust is heavy where you live, inspect twice. But for pure, boring, unkillable reliability at a price that makes no sense, almost nothing competes. Now those first two are legends because of how cheap they were when new. This last one is different. This last one was a $60,000 flagship that accidentally became the most famous high-mileage car on the planet, and today it's selling for the price of a beater. If you only remember one car from this video, make it this one. Number 1, the Lexus LS400. I need you to understand what this car was when it came out, because it makes what happened to it almost unbelievable. In 1989, Toyota launched Lexus, and the very first car was the LS400. It was their statement to the world. They told their engineers to build something that would humiliate Mercedes and BMW, and they handed them a near unlimited budget to do it. The result was a luxury sedan so quiet, so smooth, and so well built that it genuinely rattled the German automakers. It cost a fortune. It was the car wealthy people bought when they wanted the best. Now here's the part that turns it into a legend. A while back, an automotive journalist named Matt Farah went looking for the highest mileage LS400 he could find, just to see how far one of these could really go. He bought a 1996 LS400 for $1,500. That's not a typo. $1,500. It already had 897,000 miles on it from 3 previous owners, one of whom had personally put on around 700,000 of them. The car was rough, leaking from what felt like every gasket. Dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. He set out to drive it to 1 million miles, handing the keys to over 100 different people, strangers, friends, anyone willing to rack up miles. And in February 2019, that beat-up old Lexus crossed 1 million miles. Here's the detail that matters most. The engine had never once been opened, not rebuilt, not cracked apart. The original V8 that left the factory in 1996 ran 1 million miles and was still going. The transmission had been rebuilt a few times, sure, and it leaked oil constantly, using about a quart every 1,000 miles. But the heart of the car never quit. The odometer physically couldn't go past 999,999, so it just sat there, frozen, like a medal. Let me tell you about the engine, because this is where the obsession makes sense. It's called the 1UZ-EFE, a 4.0-liter V8, and Toyota engineered it like they were trying to win a bet with physics. Every part of it was overspecified, made stronger than it needed to be, built to tighter tolerances than the job required. They used high-grade aluminum and a cooling system designed to keep temperatures dead even across the whole engine, because heat cycling and metal fatigue are what actually kill motors over decades. They engineered that out. This engine is so respected that people pull them out of dead Lexuses and drop them into drift cars and off-road rigs because they'll take abuse and boost on the factory internals. Around the shop, the 1UZ has a reputation that almost no other engine touches. So now let's talk about what this means for you, because here's the punchline. That same car, the LS400, the $60,000 flagship that just proved it can run 1 million miles, sells today for almost nothing. A clean, well-kept LS400 from the 90s with normal mileage runs you somewhere in the $4,000 to $9,000 range. A rougher one, less than that. You are looking at the most over-engineered luxury sedan of its era, a car that costs Mercedes money to build for the price of a tired economy hatchback. The depreciation isn't a flaw, it's the opportunity. People undervalue these simply because they're old and the badge doesn't impress the neighbors anymore. Their loss. Here's your checklist, and pay attention, because buying the right one matters. First, the timing belt. Unlike the Crown Vic, this V8 uses a timing belt, not a chain, and it is an interference engine, so a snapped belt means catastrophic damage. You need proof it was changed in the last 90,000 miles, or you budget to do it the day you buy it, non-negotiable. Second, these are old now, so expect to see weeping oil leaks from the cam seals and valve cover gaskets. Minor seepage is normal and not a deal breaker. A car sitting in a puddle is. Third, check the suspension. The bushings and control arm components wear out at high mileage, and a clunky, loose-feeling ride usually means they're due. Not catastrophic, just negotiated into the price. Fourth, the electronics. The aging capacitors in the engine computer and small gremlins, like ignition coils and the fuel pump, are the typical high-mileage failures, so test every accessory, watch for warning lights, and make sure it starts cleanly hot and cold. Fifth, and this is the PRO move, find one owned by an older driver who garaged it and kept the service records. A retiree's LS400 with a fat folder of receipts is one of the great bargains in the entire used car world. Who should buy this? Anybody who wants real luxury, real durability, and doesn't care what badge snobs think. If you want a quiet, smooth, genuinely premium car that will run longer than almost anything built today, and you want it for the price of a clapped-out commuter, this is the move. Anybody who keeps cars for the long haul and wants to put 200,000 more miles on something with nothing left to prove. Who should skip it? If you can't stomach the maintenance an old luxury car needs, the timing belts, the occasional sensor, the bushings, then this isn't your car, because a neglected LS400 will still nickel and dime you on small stuff even while the engine refuses to die. And the fuel economy is what you would expect from a 90s V8. But if you understand what you're getting, there is no better example on earth of an expensive car that became cheap without becoming worse. Here's my final take on the LS400. This is the closest thing to a million-mile guarantee you can buy for under $10,000. It was built without compromise by a company trying to prove a point, and it proved that point so thoroughly that one of them physically ran out of digits on the odometer. If I wanted one car to quietly drive into the ground over the next 15 years while everyone around me kept making car payments, I'd buy a clean LS400 and never look back. So there they are. 3 dirt-cheap cars that accidentally became million-mile legends. The Ford Crown Victoria, the abuse-proof V8 workhorse that police and taxi fleets couldn't kill no matter how hard they tried. The Honda Accord, the humble 4-cylinder that earned a parade for hitting 1 million miles on its original engine, and the Lexus LS400, a luxury flagship so overbuilt it became the most famous high-mileage car alive, now selling for pocket change. You now know 3 cars you can buy for a few $1,000s that will outlast vehicles costing 5 times as much. Next time you're staring at a fragile, turbocharged, screen-infested modern car, wondering if it'll make it past the warranty, remember that the most reliable machines ever built are sitting quietly on used lots right now, ignored, because people forgot how good simple really is. If this kind of straight talk is useful to you, subscribe, because I've got more videos breaking down the cars worth buying and the ones the dealers are praying you don't research. Take care of one of these, and it'll take care of you a whole lot longer than you'd ever expect. I'll see you in the next one.